Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday night. Tuesday night, the happiest night of the week. Why? Because we all just finished eating tacos and we're really gassy and we don't have to sit next to each other.
Thank
No.
goodness.
Is that it? Rob Peters is with me tonight. Good evening, Rob.
How you doing, John?
I am doing well, doing very, very well. Rob,
I'm
we're going
glad
to.
there's a lot of miles between us because, especially if we both had tacos,
It
yeah,
would not be a pretty sight. We're just going to leave it at that.
a pretty smell.
Or a pretty swell. Um, So, Rob, we got lots of things to talk about tonight. We've done numerous shows, so if you guys haven't had a chance to check them out, where we've talked about making some midweek money, where we've talked about games and activities for children and such. And tonight we're going to be covering every base imaginable.
We're gonna put it in a big bowl and just what comes out comes out. So that's really cool thing.
And then that circles us right back to the tacos. What comes out? Okay,
E-
no.
Exactly. I know
Before,
when we're going for dinner out in Vegas.
there we are. That'd be great. So let's start off. But speaking of Vegas, Mobile Beat Las Vegas is coming up here in the description. I believe I have the link where you guys can go and click on that to go check the schedule. MobileBeatLasVegas.com. Rob, you're going to be speaking at this year's show. Yay! Tell us a little bit about
Like,
times and what you'll be talking about.
well, we got a double header. Actually, Wednesday's my day. Wednesday morning, we're doing our Bubble Parties workshop, which is our sponsored workshop, and we'll touch upon that a little bit later. Um, because I'm not really here to sell anything tonight. What I really want to talk about is how to get everybody psyched up for mobile beat. I'll be talking about how to get more bookings by creating some weekday wealth. And we're going to talk a little bit about some unique ways to make that midweek money and the different opportunities that are out there because it keeps growing. Just when I thought, John, that I had covered kind of a lot of the midweek stuff that's out there, I found a whole new bunch of stuff. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of that at Mobile Beat Las Vegas. I'm going to tease a little bit of it tonight for you, though.
That sounds great, and that will be happening on Wednesday. But that's not all. You've got more than just that. And for those of you wondering, we're playing with they've got a new software. This is a new Zoom we're using tonight, and we're going to be doing some things and trying camera switches and such. So there's going to be weird things happening off and on. It won't distract from the audio, but we're going to try a couple of things. So anyway, so what else? What else you got? No.
You're over here and I'm over there. Is that?
Well, actually, the idea is to be able to make one of us bigger, and then to get it so that when yeah, I don't know how to make the. It's supposed to work where you will be on the screen full screen, and then when I talk, then I'll be on the screen full screen, and it's not picking me up.
But just so you know, it's not happening here.
Yeah, but it
I've got
shouldn't.
a full screen John Young on my laptop here, and I'm in this little teeny tiny corner the size of a postage stamp. I actually look thin, so I'll take that.
Nice. Okay, so our second part now, you're going to be talking about the midweek things, and then
Well, actually, I'm going to be starting with the bubble parties
okay,
workshop. They kind of put that first because the sponsor workshop started at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we'll be talking about bubble parties and the advantages of joining our program and learning more about how to make midweek money by entertaining young kids.
very nice, very nice, and we've of course talked about that quite often.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to mess with it. We've got all sorts of cool features now that we didn't have before, guys.
You're loving this. I'm just kind of here just to give you something to do, right, John? All right, now I'm getting some really funny stuff here, John, and I can't even hear you right now. It's honestly like you're rapping. Really. Yeah, you know what we're gonna do here real quick, just because yeah, you sound like you're rapping, so
Anything audio wise on this end, and it looks like we're still getting audio
there you go,
bouncing.
you're in
There you
now.
go. Okay, cool. So let's dig into our topic tonight. We wanted to talk about is ways in which DJs traditionally are working our Fridays, Saturdays, maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe just a Saturday, but there's ways and spots and opportunities to make money during the week.
There are a ton of ways. Now, this all came about when you think about it. The average working DJ, if you were to book one on Friday, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and then factor in that there are 2 weeks you may not work, you have 150 opportunities a year to book yourself. Depending on how good you are at marketing, how great your website is, and a lot of other variables, you probably can do that. But what if you wanted to step outside the realm? If you're full time, there are so many different opportunities available out there to fill your schedule during the week. And it's everything from clubs and bars to trivia to kids stuff, which we started talking about a little bit, and the opportunities to be able to be profitable by bringing in midweek money. It's out there, but you need to know where to get it. I'm going to be introducing, when we're at Mobile Beach, Las Vegas, I'm going to be introducing what I call the 4 C's of filling your weekday schedule. And I'm not going to give you too much of that here. I'm going to give you 2 of them that are going to kind of work hand in hand. And the big one is making connections. Connecting it. That's how you're going to get that work through the door. You can have a great website, and in a lot of cases, you can talk to your SEO people so that when somebody at ABC Corporation needs somebody for their employee event, can Google Boston DJ and you could pop up. Now in Boston, that's not going to happen anytime soon unless you've really done your SEO homework.
Right.
I find that the face-to-face interaction, the handshaking, and even getting to know them a little bit more, I'm going to get to that in a second, helps bring those people to you because it's not Googling. They've got a name and a face, and they've got a little recognition. Over the past year, John, we've made a lot of changes here at RPE. We've gone from being a company that does predominantly weddings to a company that does predominantly everything else and weddings too, because I kind of reached a point over the past few years, and I know that there's some DJs out there who probably feel the same way. You're competing on every level.
Right.
Now, we titled tonight, Increasing Your DJ Income. Easiest way, kudos to Mark Farrell, raise your rates. That's how you're going to increase your revenue. At the same time, increasing the amount of bookings you're doing at that revenue is how you're going to increase that revenue even more. Now I'm gonna say something that's going to sound very similar, but there's a point to it. Every time you go out, you're doing free marketing. You're marketing yourself to a new audience that's going to lead to a referral. So that's going to be another step in that direction. I find that going after a lot of the unusual stuff has been really profitable over the past year. And some of this unusual stuff doesn't involve you having to spend money. Mm-hmm. It's stuff you have sitting in your warehouse. It's things like renting out a lavalier microphone you might use at a wedding on a Saturday on a Wednesday afternoon for a guest speaker at a function facility or a venue. Some of our venues around here, especially the little lesser, I want to say like your Holiday Inn Express or I want to say Comfort Inn and Suites might be another one. The ones that have the little meeting rooms, but they don't have the big function space.
Right.
A lot of those speakers that come in are looking for the clip-on mic. They don't want the big boxy handheld microphone. They need some kind of sound because there's more than 60 people there. John, I have an event coming up in 2 weeks from today, in fact, for a very well-known financial company that begins with F and ends in Fidelity. We're doing sound for them. We're doing 2 hours of sound. We're setting up a PA. We are giving them one of those clip-on microphones and a boom stand. And I'm making what I would charge for a 4-hour party on a Friday night, just for delivering, setting that up, hanging out, making sure everything works. I'm getting fed. And I'm done by 8:30 on a Tuesday night.
Nice.
It's little stuff like that. And that was a very simple, you talk about one of the C's of filling your weekday schedule, connecting. I connected with that catering director at the venue. She knows I have this stuff. She called and asked me if we had it for that date, gave my card to the people of Fidelity, and here we are. And that's on a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night for 2 hours. And the speaker's pretty good too, so I'm actually kind of psyched. It's one of the Boston Globe sports columnist. So I'm not going to turn this into a sports show because I know that there are certain people out there that are going, that Rob Peters guy's from Boston, Patriots. We won't go down that road.
No, we don't need to go down that road.
But filling your weekday schedule it takes your inventory.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work for mobile, and I've talked about this before. When I used to work for mobile, we used to have to do inventory once every other week for Coca-Cola to figure out how much we had to order. In our industry, we don't have to order. We just need to know what we have available.
Yep.
If you don't know what you have for dates available, it's something you should have on a frequent basis so that you can plan ahead to develop your business. I'm still going after weddings. I'm still doing a lot of that wedding and the weekend work. But I'm finding that going after this weekday stuff, it's really taking the edge off because people are still, I don't think the climate in the bridal market has really come back to where it was before the economy went down. So by having that, I still am able to compete. I'm still able to get that work, and I'm still getting a lot of referrals, even from some of this weekday stuff.
It's interesting that that you mentioned the price or the business has not come back from 2000, the fall in 2008, and then I think I've heard that from numerous people that prior to, and I think for those of you who are wondering if you weren't very active, 8 years ago, 7 years ago. A few things, of course, have come on. More comfort, more reliability with the software, and different things with that. Just the ease of entry is at an all-time high from when you and I started, Rob. I mean, it was much more difficult back then. And then
that's something that's going to continue to work against us because it's getting smaller and smaller. It went from a CD to a hard drive.
Yeah.
To something that's now realistically intangible. We can only see it by logging into our computer. Now it's going here. Before long, it's probably going to be as big as my earpiece and a USB thumb drive. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's going to be as big as our finger.
Yeah. The technology is just coming along so incredibly quickly with that. I mean, that's what we saw is Ben and I are going to be talking about some players that are all the music. You've got a 256 thumb drive, and you've got every song you've ever wanted, most likely on that thumb drive. And yeah, here's my library.
I think, and that's the thing that separates people who do what they do and watch this kind of programming and go out and learn and come out to Mobile Beat Las Vegas, and the people that are just doing it for a different reason. Their passion may not be there. They may not be making a living at it.
Mm-hmm.
They may be doing it just to turn around and put a little extra money in their pocket. And to them, that's why you're seeing undercutting. I mean, that's how I got started. I hate to say it. Many moons ago, I had more hair on my head. I was fresh out of college. And this was before our big push to get more money and to raise our rates and to be respected as one of the key things that comes to an event. Back then, I think the average DJ in my market was charging under $500 for a wedding.
Yep.
And I was going out and booking them for $100 all day long. You know why? Because I wanted to work, I wanted to be better, and I was hungry.
Yeah.
And I had a big thing. I mean, I had a big overhead just in equipment that I put on a credit card. I had to pay that every month. So yeah, I was going after, but you know what? I began to realize I can get more. I can charge more. I'm worth more. And now that's transitioned over because that's the other big secret about midweek money and weekday work. People will pay for the quality if you can present it to them and make them happy about it.
Yeah.
I find that some of the corporate game shows we do, and that's something we get into a little later on, in our seminar at Mobile Beat, we'll talk a little bit more about that stuff. But when I go after that and I present to them exactly what they're going to be getting, and I put that figure in front of them, it's not well, you know what, I'm going to call 5 or 6 other DJs and find out. Or that's a little bit out of our league. It's send me the contract. What do you need today? it takes a lot of that edge off. Now, I think that's where our industry is going to go. The trend is even there right now when it comes to weddings. To circle it back around, Sean, you're seeing a lot of midweek weddings now. You're seeing Thursday night.
Yes.
Kudos to Larry Williams. Larry Williams put out an awesome program about rehearsal dinners. And that's stuff that we're doing now, too. We're doing probably 8 or 9 of them I've got on the books this year alone. And I go to bridal shows now, John. I don't push the DJ or the uplights or the photo booth. I push that we're going to come out and do your rehearsal. And it's working.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to tell you, I'm loving this change. I still want to do the weekend stuff because, yeah, there's a difference between doing a private a party on a Tuesday for, 2/3 of what I would make on a wedding on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So there's obviously that conflict going on, but I'm finding that the pressure's off a little bit more because I can fill that weekdays.
And by filling the weekday things, I saw some pictures from your camping trip you guys took this fall.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that was, if I remember correctly, that wasn't, you guys took a weekend to go camping.
We took a weekend, and that's the other cool thing is I've been camping since I was a kid, and you see the smile coming in because it's really a bummer this time of year. We had a nor'easter come through New England today, and the fact that my camper is shut down and winterized, and I'm looking at the calendar going, is it March 31st already? Can we get it out of storage and get it ready to go? It's kind of nice to be able to, on a Friday afternoon, make sure that my staff is good. And I do this once a month. My staff will tell you there's one weekend a month. I'm not here. I'm not booked. I have my number 2 guy running the show, and I'm away camping for a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm out in nature, having a great time, reading books, sitting by the pool, enjoying some libations, to be polite, and I'm having fun. And it takes, like I said, it takes that edge off, which is really great.
Yep, it does. Otherwise, when a guy's having to basically struggle and your inventory is just your Saturday nights, giving up one out of, in our case, 20 Saturdays that are workable Saturdays here in Minnesota, that's where you make your income. And if you give one of those up, you're giving away, maybe 5% of your income for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not acceptable for most businesses to just willingly give away 5%.
If you're going to be that kind of a seasonal business, you need to have something else to back it up.
Yeah, for sure.
So
let's dig in and let's talk a little bit about now. How do we? You mentioned a little bit about finding some of the work, but let's kind of go in that direction because some of the guys are talking about where they can go, and we actually talked a little bit about nonprofits last night a little bit. So we've got some discussions going.
Nonprofits, can be a good resource. And if you're using your strategy the right way, I've talked on nonprofit before, and I know that when it comes to what we do, and I don't know what the conversation was last night, I usually don't catch up on my DJ news videos until Wednesday when I'm at the gym. We talked about that before we went live tonight, John.
Yep.
But I know that in a lot of cases in the IRS, I want to say it's publication 521, it basically says that because what we do is considered a donation of time, it's not considered tax deductible. So you got to be creative. There's check swaps, there's charging a fee and then basically making a donation back for a portion of the fee. There's a bunch of different ways to play it, but charities are really cool and can be a great business builder all the way around. When you say, as the DJ at a corporate event, a charity event, if anybody books our DJ or photo booth or whatever for an event coming up in the next year, we'll make a donation to your charity. We did something for NBA in December on like a Wednesday. We donated the photo booth. And photo booth donation is a total different breed. It was explained to me by my accountant. I really don't want to get into how we were able to do it, but we could do it, so we did. And we donated it for an ALS event. And we basically told the people at MDA, anybody at your event tonight who books our photo booth or books our DJ services for an event in the future, we'll make a donation to MDA a portion of that fee. Now that donation depends on the event, and it depends when it is, where it is, and
Yeah.
how much we're billing it out at already. And this is less than 45 days later. We've already donated $200 to MDA because we got a couple of bookings that were money bookings.
Mm-hmm.
So I use charity events as free advertising. I also use charity events to tie into how I build more business all the way around. I'm putting on my own publicity now, and this is a whole nother one that we can do. We can do a whole online chat about this whole thing, John, because I'm discovering a lot about it. A couple of months ago, you talk about connections and getting a weekday work. We sponsored a business after hours
Right.
in conjunction with our Chamber of Commerce. And we used that as an opportunity to show off some of the unique stuff that we do, some of the game shows, and we did a couple of team building games. And we talked a little bit about being able to rent some of our sound equipment to the people that would use it during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the event all told probably cost me, I partnered with a venue and we co-sponsored it, so I didn't have to pay for the room. I paid for some hors d'oeuvres, maybe $200 in hors d'oeuvres.
Mm-hmm.
And I maybe bought $100 in drinks for VIPs, for people who I knew were coming. They were people who I kind of wanted to shake, being a politician for a second and saying,
Yep.
I want to shake hands and give babies.
Yep.
But I booked 3 holiday parties out of it, and I made my own buzz. And now it's funny because people they'll see me at a chamber event, or they'll see me, whether I'm setting up at their venue, and they'll be like, man, do you believe that Craig said that, silk gown was one of the things that you couldn't wash because we did our fantastic feud game show.
Mm-hmm.
But just the buzz that came off of that was so beneficial to us that we're making that back and seeing a result out of it. And that's one of the things that I think is important when it comes to connecting. And I share a lot of this in what we're going to talk about at Mobile Beat Las Vegas. I talk about how important networking and connecting is, but I also am going to share some secrets on how to create your own buzz to get clients to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's an important aspect. Getting the clients to work with. Just checking the chat room here and making sure we're good with that. Been following back and forth here.
You brought up the chat room. I kind of want to answer some of the questions that some of the people that are watching us tonight want to know about. Where do you go to get this stuff? Truthfully, network. Take a look at your circle. I did a whole thing on this at Mobile Beat last year. And your circle of influence, and take a look who in your circle you know. And it gets back to Dr. Pepper, which I'll bring it up because it was one of the big things people remember from my presentation last year. And ironically, somebody showed up at the sponsored workshop the next day, true story, with a Dr. Pepper for me at 8 o'clock in the morning because I had talked about how much of a fan I am of Dr. Pepper. I'm not so much a fan of the beverage as I am as their marketing strategy, which is there are 3 times a day that you should have a Dr. Pepper, 10, 2, and 4. And in networking, it's the same strategy. You should be reaching out to people in your circle 3 times a day, 10, 2, and 4. 10 o'clock because at 9 o'clock they just got in and they're probably getting yelled at by their boss. 2 o'clock because everybody goes to lunch between 11:30 and 1:30. And then 4 o'clock because you're catching them before the end of the day and you're giving them an excuse to focus on something else other than work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest things that works for me. I have a schedule, and 3 times a day I'm on the phone, 10, 2, and 4. I'm calling a different person in my circle. Maybe it's a client 1 at 10 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, it might be one of my bubble party providers from across the country. And at 4 o'clock, it might be a meeting planner I haven't talked to in a few. But it's that whole out of sight, out of mind thing.
For sure.
And I use that to such a big potential. I'm also learning a lot about LinkedIn right now and how LinkedIn has helped with referrals. People in my circle of influence who are on LinkedIn who have people in their circle. Now I'm kind of connected to them a little bit.
Hmm.
And I don't publish a whole heck of a lot. I'm learning all of this right now. And it's going to be something that's going to be really extraordinary when it comes to what we want to go to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. I think LinkedIn is one of those we hear people talk about it, and everyone, it's it's the business version of whatever, and everyone's excited about it, and they all want to be there and connect. And then what
Mm-hmm.
is the big thing? It's like, okay,
And that's what I'm learning now. So I'm pretty excited. I hired a consultant for that
yeah,
just because I want to get the most out of it. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is it's free.
hmm,
It's free to get in there and to be able to make those connections. So why wouldn't
yeah, yeah, for sure. Rob, we've got about 15 minutes, give or take, here left before we wrap things
you?
up because we got Ben Stowe coming in, and
Oh yeah,
he's actually in the waiting room right now. I gotta ask,
he's in the
can
waiting
you
room. We have
hear
a waiting
us?
room now.
Yes, we
So there's
do.
like complimentary, the complimentary entertainment in the waiting room. Like there's
I
watch.
okay. He can't hear us, so that's
That's okay.
that's interesting. So
I will tell you, he saved me this week, but that's a whole nother story for another
Ben
time.
saves a lot of people, and that's
Oh
something
yeah.
I don't know if folks realize how Ben will take calls at any hour of the day.
And again, we talk about connections. There's another connection there that I feel is so important. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're in for a good time if you're watching right now and you haven't heard Ben and you haven't experienced live with Ben. It's a treat. In fact, when I'm done, I'm actually going to stay and watch.
Yeah, yep. He's got his picks from NAM. We'll be talking about that in a little bit.
Maybe I'll sneak into the waiting room. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. You could just go sit in the waiting room, but you can't hear anything in there. So that's a bummer. Uh, okay, so let's talk a little bit about we've talked kind of the mid money and we talked a little bit about the nonprofit side of it, rental side of it. Let's about performing events where we actually are going to be performing. If we wanted to go and try to find some areas to hit a little bit, what are some things that you have found that are unusual? Everyone wants to do weddings, that kind of a thing, that
Mm-hmm.
that people might be overlooking a little bit.
I think corporate is a big niche right now that a lot of people are overlooking. I wrote for Disc Jockey News, and it came out. I want to say November. I took a trip to Hershey Park. We talked about camping, and I walked by this vending machine inside Hershey Park one day, and it was filled with, a lot of the Hershey product, but one that I hadn't seen in years. It was the whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
Remember the whatchamacallit bar?
Oh yeah.
And I hadn't seen it in years, but it got me to thinking how much we forget as veterans in this industry because the new dance or the new game or the new version of this comes out, and we stop doing some of the other stuff. Um, there are a lot of games out there that you could be doing with corporate to really make it more worthwhile to them beyond just showing up and spinning music. That's one of the things that I think is overlooked, and I go into a lot of that. I'm actually going to be talking about how to make your corporate events really over the top with team building at Mobile Beat.
And I think that team building, I've got a few friends who they started in one area with the DJ, then they moved into the corporate. They started offering some team building, just games and activities. And three of them that I can think of just off the top of my head have moved into the point now where they are speaking. They're paid speakers, so they're hired to come out and and I don't want this to be sound offensive, but a poor man's Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what we do where we're on stage and we're speaking, if you can communicate a message and you can motivate people. And if you guys saw Todd Mitchum, some of the clips from when he left the DJ industry and he started going into the professional speaking circuit outside of the DJ industry, he was doing a lot of the same stuff we saw him do on stage with his animated activities and his using the audience and working with the audience and things and getting them up on stage with him to make points. There's definitely, if you have that aptitude, I think there's not only in that case midweek money to be made or money during the week to be made, but really that's a whole new career path for these three that I'm thinking of right at the top of my head.
Prior to me taking the plunge and going full time, I did team building at the company I was working for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that kind of helped when I went full time because I was able to take some of that stuff and integrate it a lot more. If you've been to any of the um, times that I've performed as part of maybe the All Stars or anything like that, a lot of the stuff I've brought, I maybe brought one dance over the years and a ton of games. And a lot of those games are things that you can use because they're fun, but there's a point behind it, and that is it's team building.
Yeah.
But one of the other things, John, that I think that often gets overlooked is the kids. You know, I started writing for you years ago, and I named my articles "The Kids Are All Right" because I talk a lot about kids entertainment.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only Rob in the industry that talks about kids entertainment. And he and I really do have swap ideas and chat once in a while about just that whole area.
Right.
That's a whole untapped market to mobile DJs. And the one thing that before I go down this road is, and this will cross over to the other thing that I'm going to be speaking about at Mobile Beat, is we got the mitzvahs, we got the high school dances, the junior high dances, and maybe you do the family fun ones. But what about the younger kids? What are you doing for them? And that's where Bubble Parties, the program that I own and supervise and administrate over, comes into play because it's a full service program that allows you to make money during the week, entertaining kids ages 3 to 7 with a program, a business program, and a performance plan that works. I've been doing it. I'm in year 11, which I still get out of bed. I did my first show. Ironically, it's January here in New England. It's cold. We had a place that hired me to come to their school and do it, do a bubble party indoors. They had the safety requirements we require. And here I am in the middle of January doing my first bubble party of the year. I usually don't start those until after Mobile Beat Las Vegas, but the demand is there to have quality enrichment programs in for the younger kids
Right.
and daycares and childcare facilities and even kindergartens and elementary schools. It's there. And it's one of the things that often gets overlooked. And the biggest thing I hear is it's not the kind of market that a lot of DJs want to go after. Well, guess what? That's their loss. At the end of the day, our program is designed to be able to take the average DJ that can tolerate kids, and I have to put that out there.
Yes, that's important.
You have to have a tolerance for young kids, and don't do that, don't do that, don't do that mentality, or the repeat everything you do once or twice and dummy it down so that a 3-year-old can understand it. If you can't do that, this isn't for you. And I have to be honest about that because I don't ever want to have somebody get into my plan or my program to fail. I want to make successful DJs, and we're taking the country by storm now. We are in 35 major metropolitan markets throughout the United States, and it's growing. And over the next year, we anticipate Mobile Beat is a big lift for us. And the things that we're doing with the program now, we're changing a lot of the program. So it's not just a DJ with a bubble machine. It's actually an entertainment program with a little bit of education so you can market it that way.
Yep.
That is very, very profitable. Last year, we did over 200 bubble parties in my market alone. I have 4 people that do these shows in addition to me because there's that much work out there for us.
Very nice. And that, but in a more of a larger city area, and of course you've got some that are in smaller cities that are franchise owners.
We do, and that's one of the things that we've kind of taken a turn with a little bit. We are consistently. This is like building the better mousetrap every year.
Mm-hmm.
And last year was a big turning point for us, and we did very well with it. And this year, we tweaked some things a little bit more with the program to bring it up a notch, I guess you could say, and work with smaller major metropolitan markets. It's really rewarding when I talk to my providers and I find out that Mike Morales, who's probably in your chat room because he's one of my biggest supporters, and he's done so well with this. He owns Dallas, Austin, Galveston, Houston, and Austin, Texas as areas where he operates out of. And he is booked just about year round.
Wow.
And he's doing a ton of weekday stuff, and it's open doors. It's gone from being something that we do at daycares to kids' birthday parties. It's got me and a lot of my other providers in the doors doing resorts. And just by doing that 1 hour daycare program at a resort, it got me a meeting with the activities director for me to sit down and show them all the other midweek stuff we do.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened a door where last year we had one particular resort that had us there at least every other week throughout the summer doing something other than just the bubble party. So it has opened a lot of doors for me over the years. And that's one of the things that we teach with this particular program is how to make it profitable for you. I'm giving you the tools. And the one thing that we emphasize is you have to use the tools to get the results that is going to define success for you. And that's no matter whether you're doing the midweek money or you join the bubble party program. And the bubble party program is a sponsored workshop at Mobile Beat. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning that Wednesday. You can bring me a Dr. Pepper if you'd like. And we are going to spend that 45 minutes to an hour talking about the program and how it's going to benefit your business. And then at 9 o'clock, we're going to take a quick 5 minutes to let everybody who wants to come in and learn how to make midweek money. We're going to go into the C's of filling your weekday schedule. And we're actually going to do some hands-on stuff too. So get your coffee early on Wednesday because you're going to come in and learn how to make more money with an awesome business program you can add to your business. And then you're going to learn how to make midweek money after you book all of those shows. I'm really energized for this job because I've been really blessed. I've been in this, believe it or not, I'm getting into my 30th year of DJing this year. And I don't feel it. Mm-hmm. So that's the good news. The even better news is I love giving back, and that's kind of speaks to how I got involved with the Disc Jockey News and with Mobile Beat is I get out there because this industry, I'm not going to be here forever. And I want to see this industry not begin, but continue to spread its wings and fly a little bit more. And we're getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can definitely see over our years how there's been an evolution, a growth, and a movement forward, and that's really kind of cool. Rob, we got a few more minutes, and I've got some questions I want to ask you. We're going to focus now in this last part, gang, really on the bubble party thing, and there's questions that I've heard you guys ask. One answer that and question that we won't get into is how much does it cost? That's something that you need to talk.
$1 billion.
You guys going to have to talk to Rob about that. But there's some things that you guys will want to know if you really think about this. First off, Rob, if I am interested in this, I come in, I sign up. How long does it take before I am up and ready to be performing for kids?
2 weeks.
And you've got a training program and such all lined up.
We have a business plan that gets sent out to you. The business plan is pretty self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. It was written by John Allo, who actually started this program. I want to say now, and I'm doing the math in my head, almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And he started doing this program, and to give a brief history lesson, he couldn't do weddings on the weekends anymore. He was looking for something during the week that wasn't going to wear him down. He had a lot of health issues, and he started doing these, and it took off. But 2 weeks, if you implement the plan and you read the plan and you go through everything, you can get your marketing out there. You can be up and running. We can have we have a template of website that we offer as part of the program. It's 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks in Mobile Beat Las Vegas, you can be established and getting your marketing out there and starting to book shows. And the really cool thing is you're getting that ROI this year because the timing, John, is perfect.
Right. This is
a lot of it, especially if you're marketing the market that we predominantly market for. That's the time of year where they start booking their summer program. So you're striking right when the iron's hot.
So let's go to the next aspect of that. If a person invests in this, generally a company or business that's really working this and not going crazy, but they're active and they're pursuing it. How long does it take for it basically to get to the point where it's paying and they're making money after they paid for the fees and such? I mean, is it a 6 month turnaround on that, or does it take?
Um, well, let's put it this way: the initial investment is the big lump.
Hmm.
And if you want more information, by the way, they can anybody watching can go to bubbleparties.com. But we haven't announced our new structure when it comes to fees. After you pay off the initial investment to join the program, it's a monthly fee. And depending on your competition protection, which is something I'll talk about briefly, it's similar to territory protection, but it's basically my assurance that as a member of the program, I'm not going to sell it to your competition in your market.
For sure.
So you get that stature and that status of being the guy in your market that does these shows. Raymar is a great example. Everybody knows who Raymar is.
Yeah.
Raymar started his first year, he did 2 shows, but he started late in the year. His second year, John, he did 12. And if you're charging about $200, when you do the math, you're making that money back year one, and you're paying it off year one, and the rest of it's a piece of cake.
Very, very cool. Very cool. What do I need? It's bubble parties, so obviously a bubble machine is. Well, what other pieces of gear are needed for this?
There's a lot of it that's included in the business plan. Bubble parties obviously need the bubble machines. We talk a lot about personality because that's really the big thing of this show is you can go out with bubble machines and a personality and some of the stuff we show you in the program, and there's your show.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're bringing a limbo pole or hula hoops. That's it. And music, kid-friendly music. And we talk about playlists and where to get the music from. And we talk a lot about, like, one of the things we're talking about, we actually do frequent online seminars, kind of like this, with everybody in the program, so that we can talk about the different kid music out there. And hey, what are you doing in your market that maybe I'm not doing in mine? It's kind of like we really just have a brainstorming session right online and build our shows that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we go through everything in the plan as to what you need for equipment or what we recommend for equipment. Just so that you can go out there and have that success and be safe at the same time, because there is a safety factor involved.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. And they're chatting in the chat room a little bit there. Yeah, bubble machines, there's going to be some maintenance and cleaning and putzing and such. That's just the way it is.
We talked to, listen, if anybody can tell you how to maintenance and clean, I can tear down and rebuild the bubble machines we use. That's what 10 years and needing to get a bubble machine up and running because one went, and a little mechanical incline, little mechanical aptitude help.
For sure. Rob, once again, give us a website and such where people can go out and check out information on bubble parties and such.
Bubbleparties.com. There's a page there that says become a provider. The rate information there is not accurate at the moment. And in fact, I think I'm actually, when we're done here, while you're on with Ben and I'm listening, I'm going to go update that because we actually are changing our structure so it's a little more simplified.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a change in the price. It's just the way the money is actually going to be collected is a little bit different.
That sounds great. And if people want to get in touch with you directly, what's the best way to do that?
Well, they can call my office, 781-848-4235. They can email me at rob@robpetersentertainment.com. Or if you see me at Mobile Beat Las Vegas, the best thing you can do for me is, provided I'm not on my way somewhere where I have to be, offer to buy me a cup of coffee. I'll let you. And we could sit down and talk about whatever. And you know what? This isn't just about talking to you about a business program and hoping you'll be a part of it or teaching you how to make more midweek money. Honestly, this is about networking, shaking hands, and making connections. And that's really what I like to do when I'm out at the conference, because I learned a long time ago, you can learn a lot sitting in a seminar, but you can learn a whole heck of a lot more sitting down with somebody and just Stop and shop.
Yep, for sure. And that's one of the things that we really enjoy about the shows. Rob, we got to jump because Ben is going to be coming in here in just a couple of minutes. Thank you much for being on tonight. And
Oh,
gang,
thanks for having me.
yeah, and you guys can go check it out. Go out to bubbleparties.com, check that out. And if you are in Las Vegas, stop in and say hi to Rob. He'll be there the whole week.
Thanks a lot, John.
All right,
I appreciate it.
We'll be back in about 15 minutes with Ben Stowe tonight talking about his picks for NAM. We'll catch you in a bit.